My husband prepared a cup of coffee that emanated an unsettling aroma. In a moment of reckless impulse, I exchanged mugs with my sister-in-law and, "Will you dare to indulge in the coffee I crafted just for you, my dear?" My husband Daniel inquired with a peculiar smile that failed to illuminate his gaze. As I perched at the exquisite dining table of my sister-in-law Victoria's Nashville abode, the air thick with unspoken tension, we convened for our monthly family brunch, a ritual steeped in both warmth and underlying secrets. The coffee cup before me exuded an unsettling, metallic aroma that twisted my insides with unease. My name is Evelyn, and at 28, I find myself ensnared in a web of doubt, grappling with the chilling thought that my own husband might be causing me harm. Yet, after 3 years entwined in a web of matrimony and a series of unsettling culinary mishaps, I had become acutely aware of the dangers lurking in every meal, particularly when it came to Victoria. She possessed an uncanny ability to manipulate circumstances that left me feeling both nauseated and shamed, all while donning that same seemingly innocent smile that Daniel wore now. "How considerate of you," I responded, masking my turmoil with a strained smile as my thoughts spiraled into chaos. The scent rising from the cup enveloped me in an intoxicating embrace, unlike any coffee I had ever encountered. It brought back memories of that fateful evening just last month, when I found myself in urgent care, the aftermath of a seemingly innocent cup of tea at Victoria's house haunting me still. The doctors were baffled by my symptoms, while Victoria adamantly claimed she had prepared the tea just as she always did for herself. Victoria's gaze pierced through the air, heavy with unspoken tension, as she absently swirled her untouched coffee, the silence thick with unacknowledged desires. "Daniel has transformed into quite the barista lately," she remarked with a knowing smirk. "He has been meticulously honing various brewing techniques, all for your eyes alone." The intensity with which she conveyed her message sent shivers coursing through me. I had observed Daniel lingering at Victoria's house more frequently, insisting they were concocting a grand surprise for our impending anniversary. Yet, an unsettling sensation lingered in the air. The hushed murmurs that fell silent upon my arrival, the cryptic messages I had caught a fleeting glimpse of on his phone, and now this coffee, exuding an unsettling aroma. I raised the cup to my lips, feigning a sip as I dissected the nuances of their expressions, each flicker of emotion, a tantalizing secret waiting to be uncovered. In a fleeting moment, Daniel and Victoria locked eyes, a silent acknowledgement that sent shivers down my spine, validating the darkest of my fears. With a flourish, I glanced at my phone, rising suddenly from my seat. "Oh, can you believe your eyes? I must urgently place a call for my work obligations. Victoria, would it be too much to ask for your permission to delve into your study?" As I glided past Victoria's place setting, I feigned a stumble, my heart racing as I swiftly exchanged our coffee cups amidst the chaos of regaining my balance. "Forgive me, I beg you." "Text," I gasped, my posture shifting with urgency. At times I find myself stumbling through life, a chaotic dance of missteps and blunders that feels almost fated. Victoria dismissed my apology, her smile taut and laced with unspoken tension. "Exercise caution in the study. The air is thick with unspoken tension, and one wrong move could shatter the fragile balance that holds everything together." I nodded, urgency coursing through me as I fled, my heart racing with a wild intensity. Through the study's doorway, I could still glimpse their silhouettes at the table, shrouded in an air of secrecy and tension. Now I was left in a state of suspense, compelled to observe the unfolding drama. From the shadowed threshold of the study, I beheld Victoria raise the coffee cup to her lips, and a tight knot of dread coiled within me. A part of me yearned to intervene, to pull her back from the precipice, yet an insatiable curiosity compelled me to uncover the truth lurking in the shadows. I had endured countless nights in the sterile confines of emergency rooms, each hour stretching painfully as I doubled over, the agony always following those forbidden meals shared with them. It never used to be this way. When I first encountered Daniel at a friend's wedding in Nashville 3 years ago, his allure was undeniable, and his attention felt intoxicating. Victoria had appeared to embrace me, drawing me into the warmth of family gatherings, and extending her hand to assist in orchestrating our wedding. Yet, in hindsight, the warning signs were glaring, begging for attention. The way she would carelessly drench my dress in chaos at pivotal moments, or how my meals always bore the mark of her secret touch, an uninvited intensity that lingered on the palate. The incident began with a whisper, a mere flutter of discomfort, an unsettling twist in the gut, followed by a subtle yet alarming response from the body. Daniel was perpetually armed with a justification, a veil of deception that cloaked his true intentions. Perhaps it was a forbidden indulgence from earlier, or maybe you are succumbing to an unseen affliction. Yet, the truth was beginning to unveil itself. 2 months ago marked the darkest moment, when I found myself confined to a hospital bed after partaking in breakfast at their home. The doctors uncovered remnants of an unknown substance coursing through my veins. Yet Daniel wove a tale so compelling that he swayed everyone to believe I had merely ingested some outdated pills. I clutched the doorframe, my heart racing as I observed Victoria bringing the cup to her lips once more, the steam curling around her like a forbidden secret. Daniel tapped away on his phone, an air of indifference cloaking him like a dark shroud. The untouched cup lay abandoned on the table, its chill a haunting reminder of the moment I had chosen to forsake it. The metallic scent clung to my senses, sending a shiver down my spine. A subtle quiver in Victoria's hand drew my gaze, igniting a sense of intrigue and unease. She placed the cup on the table, her complexion draining of color in an instant. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice trembling with an intensity that hung in the air like a secret waiting to be unveiled. A shadow looms, whispering secrets of discontent. Daniel's gaze lifted, a sudden change in his expression as the horrifying truth dawned upon him. He recognized the cup she was drinking from. He leaped to his feet, sending the chair crashing to the ground. "Victoria, what is unfolding before us?" Victoria's hands quaked with an intensity that was impossible to ignore. I am overwhelmed by intense emotions." She attempted to rise but faltered, clutching the table's edge as if it were her only lifeline. "Daniel, what dark secret did you infuse into that coffee?" I emerged from the shadows of the study, my phone poised to capture every moment, a silent witness to the unfolding chaos. Daniel stood next to Victoria, his complexion pale and haunted. "That wasn't for you," he murmured. Yet in the stillness of the dining room, his voice resonated with an unsettling clarity. Victoria's eyes flared with a tumultuous mix of realization and dread. "Call an ambulance," she gasped, her body collapsing to the floor in a desperate plea for salvation. "Oh, I beg you, I simply cannot." I reached for the phone, my fingers unwavering as the world around me spiraled into turmoil. Victoria lay on the floor, her body convulsing with intense, uncontrollable shudders. Daniel knelt beside her, his heart racing, a storm of dread swirling within him as he grasped the magnitude of their catastrophic miscalculation. "Are the emergency services on their way?" "Indeed, an ambulance is urgently required at 1542, Maple Grove Drive," I declared with unwavering clarity, my phone capturing every moment with the other hand. "My sister-in-law seems to be experiencing an intense and unsettling reaction to something lurking within her coffee. She is aware, yet her body quakes with an unsettling intensity." As I conversed with the dispatcher, Victoria's gaze ensnared me, a silent storm brewing in her depths. The familiar chill of her gaze melted away, giving way to an unrestrained terror that gripped her very soul. "Evelyn," she breathed, "you betrayed? Did you know all along?" "Madam, the ambulance is en route," the dispatcher promised with an urgency that hung in the air. "Kindly remain on the line." Daniel felt the weight of desperation tightening around him, each passing moment amplifying his turmoil. "Victoria, what is unfolding before us? It was never meant to unfold like this. It was never intended for." "Silence, Daniel," Victoria hissed, her voice laced with tension, as her fury surged, momentarily eclipsing her turmoil. "You are the architect of this chaos. You claimed it would merely cause her to miss the meeting from the board meeting next week. Your vow was that it would remain hidden, untouched by the prying eyes of the world." A chill coursed through my veins. The board meeting loomed ahead, a stage set for my proposal to capture the attention of a major client account, the very account Victoria had been relentlessly pursuing for months at our rival firms, a tantalizing prize that hung in the balance. Everything began to fall into an intoxicating alignment. "The tea from last month," I declared, my voice unwavering, yet laced with an unspoken tension. "And the fateful breakfast incident that transpired 2 months ago. Those were no mere coincidences, were they?" Victoria's face twisted in agony, each pulse of torment crashing over her like a relentless tide. "The tea?" meant to tether you to the safety of home during the Johnson contract presentation. Yet you defied its grip and ventured out into the unknown. She gripped her abdomen, bending in agony. Daniel revealed, he claimed our only aim was to tarnish your reputation, to weave a web of doubt in the minds of clients, casting you as untrustworthy. The haunting wail of sirens pierced the stillness of the night, echoing a sense of impending doom. Daniel rose to his feet, retreating from our presence, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Victoria, silence yourself. You have no idea the depths of what you're uttering. I know exactly what I'm saying, Victoria spat, her words dripping with a dangerous allure, each syllable laced with an intoxicating edge. For months we've been weaving this intricate web, ever since Evelyn began to eclipse me in every client meeting, igniting a fierce fire within me. You were meant to ensure she consumed it today, no matter the cost. The paramedics stormed through the front door, and I instinctively recoiled, allowing them to take control of the chaos unfolding before us. As they hoisted Victoria onto the stretcher, I felt a surge of urgency. I halted the recording, my heart racing, and swiftly dispatched the video to my private email, then to my lawyer, knowing the weight of what I had captured. Daniel remained paralyzed, his heart racing as the intricate web he had woven unraveled before his very eyes. With a resolute tone, I declared to the paramedics, I will accompany her to the hospital. Ultimately, I must ensure that my sister-in-law receives the care she truly deserves. I locked eyes with Daniel, his fear palpable, and I can only imagine how eager the doctors will be to uncover the dark secrets hidden within that coffee. The emergency room at Nashville General Hospital pulsed with frenetic energy as doctors hurried to save Victoria, each second heavy with unspoken tension. I lingered in the waiting room, my phone gripped tightly in my hand, as I succumbed to the haunting echoes of Victoria's confession, each replay pulling me deeper into a web of secrets. The quiver in her voice, the wild fear dancing in her eyes, it was the undeniable proof that this was far beyond mere paranoia on my part. The family of Victoria Anderson, a nurse, has been summoned into the shadows of uncertainty. I rose, acutely aware of Daniel's glaring absence, a void that echoed with unspoken tension. He had whispered a vague promise about parking the car 2 decades ago. Yet the shadows of his absence lingered, thickening the air with tension. I am her sister-in-law, I declared, trailing behind the nurse as we passed through the imposing double doors. What has become of her? She has regained some semblance of stability, yet the presence of alarming toxins within her system casts a shadow over her recovery. The nurse's expression was laden with an unsettling weight. The doctor wishes to discuss some unsettling revelations uncovered in her blood work. Dr. Carter, a statuesque figure with streaks of silver in her hair and piercing eyes, lingered outside Victoria's door, an air of tension enveloping the moment. Mrs. Bennet, would you be so kind as to recount the events leading up to your sister-in-law's mysterious ailment? I inhaled sharply, my fingers trembling as I retrieved my phone from my pocket. You must hear this before anything else. I replayed the recording from brunch, observing the doctor's demeanor shift from composed concern to a palpable sense of dread. This is extremely serious, she declared, her fingers dancing over the tablet as she captured every word. The substance we discovered is not merely a chance occurrence in a cup of coffee. We are witnessing a calculated tainting of purity. At that moment, Daniel emerged at the far end of the corridor, his complexion ghostly and glistening with perspiration. He had unmistakably caught the doctor's whispered secrets, a revelation that hung heavy in the air, charged with unspoken tension. Evelyn, he began, his voice low and charged, as he took a deliberate step closer, the air thick with unspoken tension. Allow me to unveil the truth. Stay back, Dr. Carter warned, his voice laced with urgency as he pressed the nurse's call button, the tension thickening in the air. Security, I implore you, attend to room 412 at once. Daniel lifted his hands, a silent plea for mercy in the charged atmosphere. This is merely a tragic misinterpretation. Victoria found herself engulfed in a whirlwind of uncertainty. She was lost in a haze, unaware of the weight of her words. Is it truly possible? I unearthed the messages I had stumbled upon on his phone just last week, the ones I had surreptitiously sent to myself. Ah, so these exchanges between you and Victoria regarding ensuring her incapacitation before the Henderson presentation were merely casual banter, were they? His face lost all semblance of color. You dared to invade my privacy? After I stumbled upon those enigmatic pills hidden within your desk drawer? Indeed I did. I cast my gaze upon Dr. Carter. Doctor, I find myself in this sterile chamber once more, having been confined 3 times in the last half-year, plagued by symptoms that elude understanding. I'm eager to discover if they align with the revelations unearthed in Victoria's system today. The doctor's gaze sharpened, a storm brewing behind those piercing eyes. We must conduct a series of tests to unveil the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface. Security will ensure that your husband is kept within reach for interrogation. 2 imposing figures emerged from the shadows, taking their places flanking Daniel, their presence heavy with unspoken tension. He appeared ensnared, his meticulously crafted mask disintegrating before my eyes. Victoria and I were drawn together by an unspoken tension, a magnetic pull that felt both exhilarating and perilous. Each glance exchanged was a silent promise, a dance on the edge of a precipice, where every moment threatened to unravel the delicate fabric of our lives. The thrill of our connection was intoxicating, a heady rush that cloud he faltered, his words caught in a web of tension. We were merely attempting to guide you towards a more measured pace. You were consumed by your relentless ambition, ensnaring every major client in your grasp. Victoria whispered, if only we could compel you to step away, even for a moment. Through the act of making me sick? My voice remained unwavering, a stark contrast to the tremors of fury coursing through my hands. For how long have you been entangled in this web? Did you dare to poison my meal at the Christmas gathering as well? Daniel's silence echoed with unspoken truths, a response laden with weight and consequence. Behind him, the shadows of Victoria's room loomed, where she lay ensnared by the cold embrace of monitors, each beep a haunting reminder of her fragile state. Her earlier bravado had vanished, eclipsed by the haunting dread of one who realized that their hidden schemes had finally ensnared them. Detective Harris approaches, her presence looming like a shadow. Dr. Carter whispered, the weight of unspoken truths hanging in the air. She will demand confessions from all those entangled in this web. I nodded, enveloped by an unsettling tranquility that coursed through me. The truth was emerging from the shadows, and retreat was no longer an option. Detective Harris swept into the sterile hospital corridor, her presence an electrifying force that demanded attention and whispered secrets of the shadows lurking just beyond the light. She was a seasoned investigator, deeply entrenched in the shadows of domestic abuse cases, her gaze piercing as I unveiled the recording from brunch and revealed the haunting text messages. Mrs. Bennett, she began, her voice laced with tension as she glanced at her notes, you spoke of past hospital stays. Could you unveil the details surrounding those incidents? With trembling hands, I retrieved my phone once more, unveiling a document that had been my secret obsession for months, hidden away in the shadows of my mind. It all began one fateful evening in February, following a seemingly innocent dinner at Victoria's house. A tempest brewed within me, a relentless turmoil of agony and disorientation that threatened to consume my very being. In April, the fateful tea incident unfolded, followed by a haunting breakfast in June that lingered in the shadows of memory. My voice held a haunting calm as I pressed on. With each encounter, the manifestations echoed familiar notes, yet danced just beyond the grasp of the doctors, eluding their attempts to uncover the elusive source. The detective's gaze sharpened, piercing through the intricate web of dates, symptoms, and circumstances I had meticulously recorded. So, you've been documenting everything, have you? From the moment I became aware of the intricate web woven around me, my heart raced as I lingered, contemplating the forbidden act of retrieving yet another phone from the depths of my purse. I found myself compelled to carry a backup phone, one with a different number, shrouded in secrecy and intrigue. I employed it to capture the whispers of our encounters, lingering in the shadows of their presence. Victoria and Daniel engage in hushed conversations, weaving their intricate plans with a tension that hangs in the air, each word laced with unspoken desires and the weight of secrecy. In one of the recordings, Victoria's voice pierced the silence, resonating with an intensity that was both haunting and irresistible. The Henderson account holds a fortune, Daniel. We must not allow her to shatter the fragile world we've painstakingly built. Simply adhere to the scheme. A mere handful of days spent in the clutches of illness should suffice. Daniel reply cut deep. laden with unspoken truths and a weight that hung in the air, impossible to ignore. This time, I possess something far more potent. She is destined to miss the presentation. Detective Harris's expression darkened, a storm brewing within her as she absorbed the words. Through the window of Victoria's room, I could see my sister-in-law stirring from her slumber, her once assured demeanor now replaced by an unsettling vulnerability that hung in the air like a forbidden secret. The detective revealed that the hospital is conducting toxicology screens, a revelation that hung heavy in the air, laden with unspoken implications. Dr. Carter has unearthed a collection of substances that defy the laws of nature. We must also acquire samples from your dwelling. A tumultuous stir echoed through the corridor, drawing us into its magnetic pull. Daniel found himself locked in a fierce confrontation with the security guards, his voice escalating in a frantic plea for understanding. "I must speak with my wife," he bellowed, desperation lacing his voice. "Evelyn, you must see. We were only attempting to shield you from the shadows that loom over us." Detective Harris interposed himself, a shadowy figure cutting through the tension that crackled in the air. "Mr. Bennett, your actions are only deepening the shadows surrounding your predicament. We have uncovered undeniable proof of a meticulously planned scheme." "Calculated?" Daniel laughed, a chilling sound that reverberated ominously through the corridor. "We were merely attempting to halt her relentless pace. She was pushing herself to the brink, seizing every significant account with an insatiable hunger." Victoria whispered, pleading for a moment of reprieve, as if the weight of the world rested solely on her shoulders. "Through the act of poisoning her?" Detective Harris's voice sliced through the air, laden with tension. "What you call protection, Mr. Bennett, is nothing short of a dangerous plan to cause harm." The color ebbed from Daniel's face, leaving behind a pallor that spoke of unspoken fears and dark secrets. "Elimination? Absolutely not. We were drawn into a web we never intended to weave. So, what was your true intention behind this?" I inquired, my tone unsettlingly composed. "What dark twist did you intend when you slipped something into my coffee this morning?" Daniel's silence echoed with unspoken truths. Behind him, Victoria lingered at her hospital room window, her expression a haunting blend of dread and cunning. I found myself questioning whether she was concocting a narrative, a way to justify the months of calculated torment as a twisted form of assistance, cloaked in a facade of care. "We must seize both of their phones," Detective Harris commanded the security guards, "and I demand officers stationed at each entrance. No one is permitted to depart until the results of the toxicology tests are revealed." Dr. Carter stepped into Victoria's room, a tablet clutched tightly in her hand, her face shadowed by an unsettling gravity as she scrutinized the test results. Detective Harris and I ventured forth, leaving Daniel behind with the watchful guards, a tension hanging in the air like a forbidden secret. Victoria struggled to elevate herself in the sterile confines of her hospital bed, yet the tremors clung to her, refusing to fade away completely. "The toxicology report reveals dangerously high levels of various substances," Dr. Carter declared, her tone cold and detached. "What looms ominously is the existence of a certain compound, one that is usually reserved for the clandestine realms of pharmaceutical testing. It is a secret too potent for the masses to grasp." Victoria's complexion drained of color. "That is utterly unattainable." Daniel insisted it was merely a catalyst for fleeting discomfort. "Subtle signs?" Detective Harris interjected, her notebook poised in her hand, ready to capture the secrets that lingered in the air. "Much like the tumultuous journey your sister-in-law has endured these last 6 months?" The door creaked open, revealing another detective, a shadowy figure clutching an evidence bag that seemed to pulse with secrets untold. In the dim light of Mr. Bennett's office, a chilling discovery awaited. He unveiled several small bottles, each adorned with clinical labels that whispered secrets of their own. Accompanying these vials were meticulous notes, detailing dosages and the haunting reactions they provoked, a testament to the dark allure hidden within those walls. A shiver coursed through me, my knees buckling under the weight of the revelation that unfolded before my eyes. "Did you capture every moment in your relentless pursuit? Is this a twisted experiment of the mind?" "It wasn't like that," Victoria insisted, though her voice trembled with uncertainty. "We were compelled to uncover the secrets of what truly thrived. The initial endeavors fell short of their intended impact." Despite the unspoken rules, you continued to appear at the meetings, drawn by an irresistible force. Detective Harris's gaze pierced through the bottles, a chilling realization dawning upon him as he noted the increased dosages. Are you aware that these substances can become dangerously potent when their levels rise? The air thickened with tension. Daniel, a shadow against the dim light filtering through the window, collapsed into a chair in the hallway, his hands gripping his head as if trying to contain the chaos within. The Henderson account, I uttered with a deliberate slowness, as fragments began to align in my mind. It transcended the mere confines of that presentation, didn't it? You sought to erase my presence entirely, motivated by competition for the project. Victoria's face twisted in a tumultuous blend of rage and terror. You were shattering the very fabric of our existence. For years I painstakingly crafted that client portfolio, pouring my heart and soul into every detail. Then you appeared, and in an instant the tides turned. Everyone now clamors for your attention, leaving me in the shadows of my own creation. Daniel claimed he possessed the power to mend it. By ending my existence? The words lingered, thick with unspoken tension, each syllable a dagger poised to strike. We never intended to. Victoria began to speak, but Dr. Carter abruptly interrupted her, the tension thick in the air. The doctor's gaze pierced through the air, locking onto Victoria with an intensity that made her heart race. The concentration in the coffee you consumed today, he declared, his voice heavy with implication, was alarmingly higher than any samples we've examined from Mrs. Bennett's past hospital visits. Had she succumbed to its allure, the consequences would have been dire, perhaps even lethal. Detective Harris cast a furtive glance at the other officer, the air thick with unspoken tension. We must secure a comprehensive warrant for both their residences and workplaces and reach out to the pharmaceutical company inscribed on these vials. Uncover the dark secrets behind their acquisition of these elusive substances. Victoria collapsed against her pillows, the struggle ebbing away from her expression. It was never meant to spiral into this abyss, she murmured, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken truths. Daniel insisted that we were on the brink of something extraordinary, that one more attempt could unravel the depths of our desires. I approached her bed, my voice unwavering even as my hands quaked with anticipation. With each illness that struck me down, every gathering I was forced to forego, every client slipping through my fingers, you lingered in the shadows, observing, meticulously recording the toll your venom exacted upon my very being. What sort of beings does that transform you into? The silence that enveloped the room was suffocating, a heavy shroud that pressed down on the very air they breathed. Outside, the air crackled with tension as I listened to the haunting echo of Daniel being read his rights, the arrival of additional officers amplifying the weight of the moment. Victoria's eyes were cast downward, her hands trembling as if they held the weight of unspoken secrets, refusing to confront the intensity of my stare. Detective, I declared, my gaze shifting from my sister-in-law, the weight of the moment heavy upon us. I am prepared to unveil the truth now. The trial stretched on for 3 weeks, yet it seemed to drag on for an eternity. I found myself ensnared in the courtroom's tense atmosphere, each day a gripping spectacle as the prosecution meticulously unraveled their case against Daniel and Victoria. The evidence loomed large, the bottles from Daniel's office standing as silent witnesses, each detailed note a chilling testament to their sinister intentions, the recorded conversations and text messages weaving a web of treachery that ensnared them all. What captivated me most was their unsettling demeanor throughout the proceedings. Victoria, once the epitome of poise and assurance, now appeared fragile and diminished in her seat, a stark contrast to her usual self. Daniel averted his gaze, his eyes glued to the ground, as the expert witnesses laid bare the harrowing and deadly consequences of the substances that had ensnared them. Dr. Carter's testimony cast a shadow that loomed ominously over the proceedings. She unveiled a meticulous dissection, revealing the gradual increase in levels over time, a chilling testament to their deliberate design to inflict profound damage. The representative from the pharmaceutical company revealed a shocking truth. Daniel had illicitly obtained the compounds, orchestrated through a trusted college friend embedded within their research department. The prosecutor's closing statement revealed a chilling tapestry of deliberate actions, weaving a narrative of intent that could not be ignored. This was not merely an act of corporate sabotage, it was a calculated and sinister endeavor aimed at dismantling Mrs. Bennett, a chilling progression that teetered on the brink of fatality. As the verdict echoed through the chamber, a chilling wave washed over me. There was no elation, only a profound sense of release from the suffocating tension that had gripped my soul. In a chilling turn of events, both Daniel and Victoria were caught in a web of lies, ultimately found guilty on multiple counts, including the harrowing charges of a serious act of harm and conspiracy. The judge's words reverberated ominously through the hushed courtroom, a haunting reminder of the tension that hung in the air. The calculated cruelty of these actions, inflicted upon a family member over a prolonged duration, calls for the harshest of consequences. I stood there, a silent witness to their descent, bound by both consequences and their own choices. Once familiar faces now contorted by the shadows of their own making, leaving me to grapple with the haunting transformation of trust into betrayal. They have relinquished their livelihoods, their honor, their very liberty, all in a desperate bid to obliterate my existence. 1 year after the trial, I found myself at the podium of the Nashville Business Leaders Conference, a storm of emotion swirling within me as I prepared to deliver the keynote speech. The irony pierced through the air, a haunting reminder that this was precisely the opportunity Victoria had desperately sought to keep from my grasp. The Henderson account, a prize they had yearned to possess, opened the floodgates to a cascade of prestigious clients, catapulting me into the ranks of the most sought-after marketing executives in the region. Success transcends mere talent or relentless toil, I began, my gaze sweeping over the sea of expectant faces. It's a tale of unwavering principles, a journey into the depths of human connection where trust becomes both a sanctuary and a perilous gamble. I lingered in silence, allowing my words to weave their way into the air, heavy with unspoken tension. In the shadows of our closest relationships, the most perilous dangers lurk, poised to unravel our ambitions. Yet it is through navigating these treacherous waters that we emerge, not unscathed, but undeniably fortified. In the aftermath of my speech, a throng of eager young professionals gravitated towards me, their eyes alight with a desperate yearning for guidance. A woman, her gaze fierce and unwavering, inquired about the secret to my unyielding calm amidst the chaos. I concentrated on the threads of fate that lay within my grasp. I confided to her. I collected the fragments of truth, heeding the whispers of my intuition, and defied the shadows of fear that sought to hinder my relentless quest for ambition. As the night deepened, an email arrived from the Henderson client, a tantalizing confirmation of their decision to bind themselves to us for another 3 years. A smile crept across my face, a bittersweet reminder of the fateful brunch when my instincts whispered truths that could have altered everything. The morning's local paper unveiled a tantalizing glimpse into the lives of Victoria and Daniel as they embarked on their harrowing journey behind bars. I chose to turn away from it. Instead, I immersed myself in the proposal for my latest client project, fully aware that true justice was found in moving forward. It was a relentless pursuit of triumph, a fierce battle against the shadows of those who sought to restrain your ascent.